Welcome back, everyone. Today we're unlocking the vault on one of the absolutely most fascinating places on Earth. Geographically speaking, Vatican City in Rome is literally the world's smallest sovereign state. You could walk across the whole thing in just a few minutes. And yet, packed within those tiny borders is a massive, highly controversial, 2,000-year history that has completely shaped the globe. For centuries, rumors of hidden relics, shadowy financial dealings, and covered-up history have swirled around the Catholic Church. So today, we're going to put those rumors under a microscope. We'll break down the actual evidence to separate fact from fiction. Because understanding what's hidden here doesn't just solve a few historical puzzles. It actually changes how we view the very foundations of modern Western history. Okay, let's dive into this, because 50 miles is where all the mystery really begins. That is the exact length of the highly restricted, totally private shelving hidden deep inside the Vatican. We're talking 50 miles of documents, letters, and records that span well over a millennium. When you have that much concealed information, it naturally becomes a breeding ground for intense speculation. I mean, what exactly are they hiding down there?
To answer that, we've got a clear roadmap for our explainer today. We're going to look at 4 key areas: the Vatican Secret Archives, World War II controversies, scandals of the Vatican Bank, and finally, the search for extraterrestrial life. Let's start with Section 1, the Vatican Secret Archives.
These archives act as the central anchor for almost every major conspiracy theory we're going to touch on today. If there's a secret to be kept, everybody just assumes this is where it lives. But interestingly enough, if we look at the original Latin name, Archivum Secretum, we actually find a huge misunderstanding right out of the gate. You see, secretum doesn't mean secret in some nefarious, evil sense. It simply translates to private. This is essentially the securely housed personal paper collection of every pope for the last 1,000 years.
Now, private obviously still means access is highly restricted, even for the most elite scholars. But the biggest catalyst for all the conspiracy theories is actually the Vatican's strict waiting period. Basically, documents are completely sealed for 70 years after a pope's reign ends. It's this exact 70-year blackout that breeds the wild rumors, making it one of the most jealously guarded collections on the planet.
That brings us to Section 2, World War II controversies.
That 70-year rule we just talked about, well, it drops us directly into some of the most intense, heated historical debates in modern history. These debates revolve entirely around the Vatican's actions during World War II, which was a time when this tiny state was geographically totally surrounded by Mussolini's fascist Italy. Pope Pius XII was the pontiff during the war, and his legacy is, to put it mildly, incredibly contested. On one hand, critics of the Pope highlight his official neutrality and have famously dubbed him Hitler's Pope, alleging he appeased the Nazis and ignored the Holocaust just to protect the Church. But conversely, other historians forcefully argue the exact opposite. They note that the Pope and his cardinals were secretly working behind the scenes, harboring thousands of Jews in Vatican properties and actively helping them escape.
But the waters get really murky when we look at the years immediately following the war. Just listen to this shocking quote. "Please, can you help me get out?" Now, this wasn't written by a desperate refugee. This was actually written by Franz Stangl, the commandant of the Treblinka extermination camp. This is a man responsible for an estimated 850,000 deaths. And he wrote this plea directly to Bishop Alois Hudal, a prominent Austrian nationalist bishop who was associated with the Vatican.
This correspondence was part of the infamous rat lines used by Nazis to flee Europe. The mechanics of it were shockingly simple. Step 1, escape over the Alps to Rome. Step 2, knock on the door of a sympathetic figure like Bishop Hudal to get a Red Cross passport. And Step 3, take a boat straight to Argentina. So the crucial takeaway here is that we know for a fact that deeply anti-communist Catholic priests like Hudal participated in these escapes. But historians still debate whether this proves the Vatican as an institution was complicit or if it was just the rogue actions of sympathetic individuals.
But hey, the amazing news for historians is that we might finally get the definitive answer to all of this. To clear the air once and for all, Pope Francis made a historic decision to order the archives of Pope Pius XII to be opened 9 years early. Modern researchers are combing through these massive records right now as we speak. So whatever the definitive historical truth is regarding the Vatican in World War II, it's finally coming to light.
Moving right along to Section 3, Scandals of the Vatican Bank.
Let's step out of the 1940s and jump right into the incredibly fast-paced, true crime world of 1970s Italian high finance. 33 days. That was the shockingly brief reign of Pope John Paul I back in 1978. After just a single month in power, this 65-year-old pope suddenly died of a reported heart attack.
Now, the timing was incredibly suspicious to a lot of people, mainly because it was widely rumored that he was actively trying to reform the notoriously secretive Vatican Bank.
Let's trace how this builds into an explosive conspiracy. The Vatican Bank, founded in 1942, was completely private, zero transparency. Then, in 1978, the Pope, who allegedly wanted to clean it up, dies mysteriously. Fast forward just 4 years later to 1982, and Roberto Calvi, an Italian financier who was so deeply entangled with the Vatican he was literally known as God's banker, is found hanging by his neck in London. This entire saga was so wild it actually inspired the plotline of the movie The Godfather Part 3. And honestly, it's pretty easy to see why.
During the official investigation into Calvi's death, authorities examined his bank, Banco Ambrosiano, which was heavily backed by the Vatican Bank, and they discovered something jaw-dropping. Over $1 billion was just completely missing. The investigations revealed that Calvi's bank was deeply entangled with mafia money laundering, and when that massive amount of money vanished, Calvi became a major target.
Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer scope of the suspects involved in Calvi's death. He was found hanging under London's Blackfriars Bridge, with bricks literally stuffed in his pockets, but investigators found zero brick dust on his hands and absolutely no scuff marks on his shoes, highly suggesting it was a staged suicide. So who did it? The mafia is definitely a prime suspect. They obviously wanted their laundered money back. 5 mobsters were actually tried but eventually acquitted. But then there's also the Cold War theory. This proposes that the CIA and the Vatican Bank were secretly funneling that missing money to anti-communist groups like the Contras in Nicaragua and Solidarity in Poland, and that Calvi was threatening to blackmail them all.
And you know the conspiracies get even wilder. In 2019, an American mobster named Anthony Raimondi came forward with a really sensational confession. He claimed he traveled to the Vatican back in 1978 to help his cousin, who just happened to be Archbishop Paul Marcinkus, the head of the Vatican Bank, poison Pope John Paul I with cyanide, all to protect this billion-dollar scam. Now, we absolutely must state clearly that this is an extreme claim, and it's one that the Vatican vehemently denies.
So, what really happened? Was the Pope murdered? Was God's banker killed by the mob or silenced by intelligence agencies? Well, because of that 70-year rule we discussed earlier, the private papers of Pope John Paul I will not be unsealed until the year 2048. So until then, the true extent of the Vatican Bank's ties to the mafia and the Cold War remains securely locked away in the dark.
Let's transition to our fourth and final section, searching for extraterrestrial life. From earthly true crime, we're shifting our gaze upwards to explore the deeply surreal rumors surrounding the Vatican's astronomical pursuits. This is a great example of how religion and science have actually coexisted for centuries. You see, the Vatican isn't new to astronomy at all. Back in the 16th century, they built the Gregorian Tower to observe the stars so they could accurately calculate the church calendar and the date of Easter. By the 1990s, light pollution in Rome forced them to move their operations over to the United States. Today, they operate an absolutely state-of-the-art observatory on Mount Graham in Arizona. But why exactly does the Catholic Church need a cutting-edge telescope in the Arizona desert today? Well, online conspiracies love to claim the Vatican is secretly scanning the skies for incoming UFOs. But the official mission is completely grounded in mainstream science. Jesuit astronomers like Father Kikwaya use this incredible technology to track the development of galaxies and, vitally, to monitor near-Earth objects. They're essentially keeping an eye out for dinosaur-killing asteroids that might be on a collision course with our planet.
But the mundane reality of tracking asteroids hasn't stopped the sci-fi rumors one bit. Just take a look at this quote from author Josh Peck to see how far the conspiracy theories have stretched. I believe that the Vatican believes that when Jesus returns, he will return as an alien being. I mean, it's an astonishing claim, right? And to be fair, the Vatican astronomers don't exactly help quiet the conspiracies down when, with a bit of dark humor, one of the acronym code names for the telescope's instrumentation is playfully called Lucifer.
So what is the official stance of the Church on aliens? It's surprisingly open-minded, actually. The Vatican's lead astronomers state clearly that no photographic proof of UFOs exists today. However, given the massive size of the universe, they openly admit that alien life is mathematically highly plausible. If we do find it, the Church says it wouldn't shatter their faith at all. It would simply be viewed as another part of God's grand plan. And as for a secret first contact playbook hidden away in the archives, the astronomers confirmed at a recent conference that the Vatican actually has no official protocol for discovering aliens.
Which brings us right back to where we started, 50 miles of private shelving. From the shadowy escapes of World War II to billion-dollar mob banking scandals, all the way up to the endless wonders of the cosmos, the Vatican absolutely remains a magnet for mystery. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. When those final miles of archives are eventually open to the public, will the documents inside rewrite human history as we know it, or will they finally just put these wild conspiracies to rest? Thanks so much for learning with us today, and we'll catch you on the next Explainer.